From the Detroit Free Press, it's Friday, February 26th. Here are today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Calling all foodies, Bush's is hiring. Are you passionate about food, looking for growth, development, and excellent wages? Come grow with Bush's and apply online at bushes.com/join our team. That's Bush's, BUSCHS.com/join our team.
I'm Susan Tompor, and I'm a columnist at the Detroit Free Press. Many of us are preparing to file our 2020 income tax returns by April 15th. But the IRS is still dealing with roughly 6 million tax returns for 2019 that have yet to be processed. Millions of people haven't seen a dime of their tax refunds after filing promptly a year ago. Detroiter Christine Brodus is frustrated that she doesn't have the money she needs to pay her bills, such as one that turned out to be a high-cost financing deal taken out to cover a car repair. Brodus claims the earned income tax credit for low to moderate income families, and she had expected a tax refund of more than $3,600 last year. She said she filed her 2019 income tax return via TurboTax, and the IRS requested more information from her last fall. What should people do now? Make sure to still file your 2020 income tax return in a timely way. You don't need to wait to file a 2020 return, even if your 2019 return is still in the system. And you can reach out, say if you had an ID theft issue, to make an appointment with some taxpayer assistance offices. The Detroit IRS office, which had been closed almost a year due to the pandemic, opened again on February 1. But remember, you must make an appointment. If you receive a notice from the IRS, respond promptly. Taxpayers who continue to wait for refunds and face other headaches also can reach out to the Taxpayer Advocate Service, an independent organization within the IRS.
Reporting for the Detroit Free Press, I'm Miriam Marini. After 24 years in federal custody, John Bass got a taste of freedom. But the taste lasted just 2 weeks before he was picked up and booked. The notorious drug ringleader was granted a compassionate release by a Michigan judge in January due to health factors that placed him at a higher risk for contracting coronavirus. Bass, who's 51, was serving 2 concurrent life sentences without the possibility of parole. From 1989 to 1997, Bass formed and led a drug trafficking operation called the Dog Pound, along with a few of his brothers, with what federal prosecutors called an almost psychotic ruthlessness. Officials believe the operation distributed more than 50 kilograms of crack cocaine in Detroit, Pontiac, and Canton, Ohio. At the time of his trial, Bass was the first man in 61 years to stand trial in a death penalty case in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan. His life was spared by the jury. But decades in custody have resulted in a complete transformation of Bass's character, and this is according to family, advocates, and even U.S. District Judge Arthur Turnow, who sentenced him to life in prison in 2004. While in prison, Bass obtained a GED, became a certified life coach, and maintained close connections with his 4 children and relatives. His wife, Katrina Bass, said, quote, "John is a kind, caring, compassionate man, and he wants so badly to be able to be a productive citizen and show others the right path because he's learned along the way that he wants to be able to do things right." Bass is currently being held at the detention center at FCI Milan in York Township, where 5 staff members have active COVID-19 cases and vaccination efforts have begun. But Bass told the family that he remains hopeful for a second chance. A response brief from Bass's lawyer is due March 3rd, and circuit judges will then decide how to proceed. For more on Bass's story and to hear from advocates, more of his family members, and to hear exactly why prosecutors believe he should remain behind bars, head to thefreep.com.
This is Phoebe Wall-Howard, an automotive reporter at the Detroit Free Press. Station wagons from the Ford family's personal collection are going up for auction on March 27th in Scottsdale with Barrett Jackson. These vehicles are owned by Edsel B. Ford II, the great-grandson of Henry Ford. He is selling a 1947 Ford Super Deluxe Custom Woody wagon and a 1958 Edsel Bermuda wagon. The market for vintage station wagons is fiercely loyal. Value for some Etzel models has decreased in the past 5 years, but Etzel wagons have increased 18% during the same time. The Woody wagon is especially popular with Michigan families. The chassis was built in Dearborn, fitted with bodies built in the Upper Peninsula, made with wood harvested from Ford-owned forests. Find out more at freep.com.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department with a bit of sad news out of Tiger spring training. The team's top prospect, Spencer Torkelson, will miss most of the action for the next few days after suffering a cut on his right index finger that required a stitch or two, according to manager A.J. Hinch. The Tigers are supposed to start playing exhibition games on Sunday, but the only thing the number one overall pick from last year's draft can do right now is catch the ball. But still, many eyes will be on Torkelson in this, his first spring training as a pro. And Hinch knows just how to handle it.
I mean, he's had attention on him for a while now. He was projected to be a high pick. He was, the face of that team at Arizona State. He comes into the Tigers organization as 1-1. I mean, he's had to grow up with expectations for the last few years, so it's not really new. So I think that's helped him. He's comfortable with it. As I've always said, I've been around a lot of guys that have that kind of tag to them. I had, Garrett Cole was a 1-1, Justin Upton in Arizona. We had Mark Appel in Houston 1-1. Bregman went second overall. It's not a ton different. So there's, I have some history with some guys that carry that, and the reality is that stuff's over. Like it's going to be talked about for years to come because of where he was drafted, but he's got so much attention he needs to pay to the baseball. The last thing that we really talk about is external expectations or the magnitude of going 1-1. That happened a while ago.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.